Hello. So this is this is a little weird for me. I've never done a vlog before. If you've been paying attention, I've been putting out a series of videos on explaining gender and sex. I put those out for two purposes, really. One of the purposes is so that for people who are non-binary identifying, that they could use that as a resource and then, go to their family and friends and be like, hey, this is a thing. Here's some information that hopefully helps explain a little bit about, how I identify or how I feel. And also for myself, it's the same thing. I came out about 4 years ago as Two-Spirit, and although I've never made a post on Facebook or anything, I think it's worthwhile to say that I am a transgender woman. And if you knew me anywhere between puberty and 33, then you might be saying, wait, what the hell? Because there are aspects of myself which are masculine, and some of my mannerisms especially, so my gender expression. But also, you can't see it right now, but I'm wearing a skirt, I've got my nails painted, I'm not wearing makeup right now. Yes, I kind of sit in this interesting identity of being, I've got a female identity, but there's also, at least I think, a part of my human experience is just that I am in this, I was assigned male at birth. It's a weird thing, at least for me, being trans, because in my heart, my heart says I'm a woman, and then I wake up and I'm in this body, and yeah, it's a trippy thing. Pretty much the thing that gets me out of bed every morning. I wake up and I have to remind myself that I'm a trans woman, and then I suddenly have the energy and I can get out of bed. I'm still figuring that out. So thanks for being part of my journey. Thanks for, if you haven't seen the videos, go check out the videos. Hopefully that'll make more sense. To my friends and family, if you didn't already know, I apologize that this is how you're finding out. I wish I could tell you in person. Some of you I have tried to contact in the past and it was just either bad timing or whatever. So, hi, I'm trans. I guess just one thing, especially because if you have known me in the past, my friends who I've known over the last couple of years, when I've explained that no, I used to have a really long beard, they're just I can't picture it. That seems so weird to me. But if you knew me when I was younger, then I guess trying to figure out that I was trans is just maybe a little bit weird, especially because it seemed like I was so masculine at that point. And a lot of it was really just, I knew that, I didn't know what the word trans was. I didn't understand what it meant to be trans until really recently. Which is why I initially 4 years ago came out as Two-Spirit, because that was I went online and I saw an article about WAWA. I hope I'm saying that right. And I saw this person who was male-bodied and had a female spirit, and they were called Two-Spirit, and I was like, yeah, that's me. I get that. So that made sense to me, and also, my father's side of the family is Choctaw, so, in that context, that really made sense. And I kind of hesitate calling myself Two-Spirit anymore. I know it's still, on my Facebook profile and that, but, I haven't really been super active in the Indian community, and that's a big part of being Two-Spirit. It's not just the identity, it's being involved. There is a very specific gender role that goes along with being Two-Spirit, and I haven't been doing that. So I think it's more accurate to say that I am a trans woman. So yeah, I knew that I was probably 5, that I was different. My dad actually sat my brother and myself down, and there was a cartoon called Where Do We Come From? Which is a sex ed video for children. It's an animated cartoon. And I remember watching that and turning to my brother, and just in my head, I didn't even know how to react. That was this thing where it triggered wait a second, how is this a thing? This is so weird. And about that time, my sister, my father's daughter, came over and visited, and it was about that time that I finally just it became really funny for me that like I had this thought that like, isn't it so funny that I'm a woman or I'm a girl and I've got a penis? And just like those two things, like I just, at that age, I thought it was hilarious. And so like I tried explaining that, and like, how do you do that when you're 5? Like really awkwardly. So that, Debbie, if you're watching, like that's what that was about. Enough said. So because of the reactions that happened about that time and like school, I went to school in England, and if you've been paying attention to Brexit at all, you know that the British people do not have a great track record of being tolerant. So already I was an outsider being an American in Britain, and just like any sort of deviance or, you know, any difference from like the absolute norm, like if you're not like well off, British born, male, you gotta have all the right clothes. It was just like you had to fit this mold so perfectly, and anything outside of that was just like, you're weird and we're gonna make fun of you and bully you. Because of that, looking back, I couldn't tell you like how it happened. I just knew that I didn't want to be bullied. And I'm sure it was just like a subconscious thing, but I managed to repress that identity for so long, probably until I was about, like, I honestly don't remember a lot about my early teen years. I remember just being miserable and wanting to sleep all the time, and like being involved in activities and just hating it and not wanting to be around people. And I think part of that was my consciousness trying to make sense of the fact that I am a girl and I've got this body, and just like puberty is really awkward anyway. And why would I want to be around people when I felt like that? But it probably didn't start making sense until I was about 20, and I didn't have a better word for it. But I've got a journal entry somewhere. It's like 2021, where I just finally was like, no, I'm queer because I'm really comfortable with my masculinity. And that was the entry that like, that's what I wrote down. Like that was the thing that made sense to me at that point. This is probably way more information than you need. Yeah, the reason I'm saying all this is because it's not just like some simple explanation. Like, yes, I'm trans. Cool, there it is. It's been a journey like that's taken me over 30 years to figure out. If you're watching this and you're in a similar position, if you're non-binary identified, you're not alone. It's not always easy. I would kind of feel like I would be doing a disservice if I weren't to say that like over the last couple years, as I've expressed my femininity more, I've experienced more intolerance than I've ever witnessed in my life. Like I've seen like crazy racism, and I've seen, you know, intolerance between different cultural groups and different socioeconomic status groups and that. And just like, I mean, literally I've had people like openly make remarks about me, like to my face, friends denying my identity to my face. Yeah, that's as far as I want to go with that. I've not experienced a lot of amazing things happen like since I've come out. So yeah, that all leads to dysphoria. The dysphoria is pretty high. Most of the days I just try and stay present as much as I can. And that's something that I get asked a lot. It's like, you know, because 4 years ago I did this crazy thing where I hiked up Mount Rainier. Yeah, if any of you knew me like from like 2003 to now, like you know that in college I smoked a lot of pot. And so there's a lot of questions of like, well, this crazy thing that you did, and yeah, it's because I figured myself out and I knew beforehand. Like I've got journal entries from before, and trust me, I question this all the time, but I have gone back and I've looked, and this is not something that like I made up because like I smoked some pot. I feel more myself these days than I have my entire life. I feel more present, more involved, more like in my body, and that's awesome. And I've been happier generally. I mean, despite like all the crap that, you know, I've experienced, like I'm generally happier now than I've ever been in my life. Like I don't have the crazy depression that I did in my teen years. Some people might say like, well, maybe you're just like, you've got this comorbidity that like, you know, your identity has to do with your depression, and it's just like you're not actually trans, it's just because you're depressed. I've thought about that a lot, and just I think it's actually the converse, where like I was depressed because I wasn't able to be myself. And not a psychologist, but I have talked to a few, and we're all kind of on the same page. As you see me now, this is as I was born. I've made no effort to transition other than just, having a more feminine presentation, makeup, nails, how I dress. My voice is still pretty deep. I haven't done any voice training. I'm not on HRT. I haven't had any surgery, which, by the way, if you're going to ask someone about, what they've got in their pants, at least buy them a drink first. Yeah, don't ask. If this is all new to you, I would highly suggest looking up 7 things to never ask a non-binary person. And this is not just for me. This is like for anyone that, like, if you've got friends or family or someone that, like, in your life who you're not sure how to phrase things about, or like what questions are appropriate or not, I highly recommend checking that out. Because already, like, for people in my position, this is not that easy thing to, like, be this honest and, like, this vulnerable. Like, we're essentially, like, exposing ourselves, like, as non-binary people, like, hey, this is, like, not entirely culturally accepted. Like, granted, I live in Seattle, and this is, like, probably the best place in the world where I could be. But even still, like, that being said, if you've been paying attention to the news, this is just after Pride 2016, and there were some things prior to that were not amazing. So this isn't easy. Please be patient. Please be kind. Treat us like, humans. Just, treat everyone with respect. We're no different. All right. Thanks for listening to me ramble. Yeah. Be kind. Love you all. Thank you so much for listening.